Hi everyone. So the strategy that I decided to do for my project is the directed reading and thinking activity. And for the purpose of this activity, the students that I have in my classroom are kindergarten and first grade instructional self-contained special ed. So there's a wide range of needs in my classroom, and also I have 12 students and 11 of them are identified as English language learners. For the purpose of this activity, it's to allow students to use critical thinking skills to support their learning. Students are going to participate in asking and answering higher order thinking questions to help understand a text. For my English language proficiency standard, English language learners will communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the content area of language arts. And my Common Core State standard, the content objective will be that students will ask and answer questions about key details in a text. This strategy also works with speaking standards as well, because students are practicing using their speaking skills to answer these questions. Activity description. This activity can be described as being a very effective activity for encouraging strategic thinking while students are reading or listening to a narrative or fictional text. It's effective in all grade levels with the steps given. Only the difficulty level of the text will change. For the older students, the text should be rich, interesting, and have a surprise or unanticipated ending. Throughout the story, stop periodically and have students contemplate predictions about what might follow logically in the next section of the text. Begin the lesson with a question about what class members might think the story will be about based on the title or the front cover of the story. So this is from Echevarria, 2013, and that is the strategy that I pulled from the SciAp book. The steps to complete this are as followed. So the first step is to pick a narrative or fictional text that may have a surprise ending. For the purpose of this activity, I used the text I Love Saturdays y Domingos. And this book is part of our curriculum, ReadyGen, but I also like using this story because it has words and phrases in Spanish as well as in English. And a lot of the students in my classroom have their first language as Spanish. The next step is to create some sort of visual to present to the students. So for my activity, I created an anchor chart that practices how we can make predictions. So I taught them how to make a prediction, and then I made an anchor chart as a visual to help support. The next step is before reading to ask a student what they think the story will be about. So I have the students use features like looking at the front cover, looking at the picture, and looking at the title of the story. And I ask students questions like, if they tell me what they think the story's about, I say, what gives you that opinion, or how did you come up with that prediction, so that they can foster those higher level critical thinking questions. Begin to read the story, stop along the way, and ask students questions about the text. So I ask questions like, what do you think will happen next? What are some things that the characters do, and how the characters are feeling? It's important that you stop and ask and check for comprehension while reading and asking those questions for the higher order thinking. And it's also good while you're reading to ask the students, what do you think will happen next? Because good readers ask questions about a story during their reading, so they're making predictions about what they think will happen next. At the end of the story, have students reflect on their prediction from the beginning of the story, ask them if they were right, and if they weren't right, how can they justify their prediction to what actually happened in the story. So these were the materials that I used when I practiced the strategy. So on the left, this is the core board that we use in our classroom. It's called Chat Editor, and every smartboard in our school has one. I have a few students in my classroom who are nonverbal, and this has been really helpful in getting them to participate without using their without using their voice. So basically they can just come up, I can ask them what they think they're going to happen next. I can click on the questions and ask what, and then they can navigate this independently and figure out what they think is going to happen next. On the right, I have my anchor chart, and it's about making predictions. So the first thing I did in purple was write what the definition of a prediction is and kind of practice what that is when we're reading. I use words like I think and then because. I talked about how good readers make predictions before, during, and after they read. So before, I reminded them that they need to look at the title and the pictures to try to figure out what the story is going to be about. During reading, we stop and predict what will happen next. I like that I included that visual of the stop sign because students know that means stop. So they know that while they're reading, they need to stop and they need to figure out what's going to happen next. After, they need to confirm or change their prediction and figure out if they were right. So if they weren't right, they would change their prediction and adjust it to see what the actual prediction or what the actual outcome of the story was. So the outcome of the activity, so by the end of the activity, students should feel more comfortable discussing a text. They should be able to independently make predictions about what they think will happen in the story, and students should be able to answer and ask questions relevant to a narrative story. Relevance to English language learners. So this strategy allows for students to use speaking and reading strategies to support reading comprehension. In our district currently, we're really trying to develop our student speaking scores. So this strategy provided opportunities to expand their thinking. The text that I use also has Spanish words and phrases, and this relates directly to students' cultural backgrounds, considering the fact that 11 out of the 12 of my students are ELLs and have Spanish as their first language. All right, so that's all I have, and thank you for watching.